can share for other people who aren't able to join us. And yeah, stuff that's going on. So based on the conversation from last week, we got this stood up. I haven't checked to see if there's new updates to the GitHub repository or not.
She said that she was going to post something. So on that team, yeah, on that team, she's the only person on that team now.
Oh yeah.
And
Gotcha.
yeah, so she can only do what she's going to do. But I think the issue that she was telling me about was that this, the top language, and one of the updates that she will make is to put in another access, like another window that's going to link out to some EPA data, because we can't get the EPA data to play nicely enough with our data. So we're going to have the EPA data. It's qualitative data, not quantitative anyway. So it'll just link out, and then that will fulfill the objectives of that project, that it has both government data and
Gotcha. And the SafeCast data.
Right. So it'll just be like, hey, did you know that there's a clean school bus program? And then be a link.
Gotcha.
But she's got to create that somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. But she's got to create that somewhere, and she feels like that can't happen in Kibana or the
or Grafana.
Yeah, she can't do it. She can't like have that header that she has, or other kinds of language.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think she also called out a good point that like I don't think Grafana has the capability to do like this sort of thing. It definitely doesn't have the bounding. And then she brought up a really good point that I don't think, even if it had the bounding, I don't think it has a way to send the bounding to like another graph on the same dashboard. Like, I don't think I've ever seen it do that. It might just not be a feature. So, yeah.
Well, and we're sorry, Rob, go ahead.
In Grafana, they're in PR for that, but
oh, is there?
Yeah, the people are working on it, but nothing yet. So
gotcha. So yeah, probably good enough to roll with this for now.
So how would this then be hosted? Is it that we could link it to something off of our main site that would be just private for the people who would use it?
Well, I mean, depends on the definition of private, but I mean,
well, private, like it's accessible, but you got to know where to find it.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. So what I right now, it's actually stood up like literally on the same server that hosts the Grafana dev site.
Okay.
It's the same hardware, same everything. So I just kind of stood it up next to the Grafana processes, and that's what you're viewing here. And so we can do the same thing and just have, I don't know if we want to call it library.safecast.cc or, whatever. It'll sort of be up to us what we want to call it. But
I see what you're saying. So ultimately, I am hoping to find a way to make this more more substantial, and that we would, so it wouldn't be only for the library. So the library is the first adopter.
Sure.
So, whatever the naming convention, it doesn't really matter to me as long as it makes sense to, so like it doesn't become a difficulty in the future for you in terms of changing the, like, if it goes prime time, that we can get rid of the library part and it's okay.
Yeah.
But if you come up with a good name, you can just call it.
I mean, so far I think library is great, so I'm not, unless library is going to mean something else, and then now you have to worry about somebody accidentally using library in a way that's not intended because there's libraries that are associated with Grafana. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's far enough removed that probably we're not gonna like the word library often means like a code library or something like that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I don't see us hosting, like, if we were going to host code, we're going to put it on GitHub. Like, I don't see us setting up like a SafeCast code library on like its own special website or something, right? Like, I think most likely it's just going to be GitHub, which is where all the code lives anyway.
So I told.
I was trying to sneak in.
Sorry, Rob.
Yeah, I would suggest you to make something in the naming from air, because it's air data.
Yeah.
so for people to understand what it is, for example, air library or library air, or I don't know, but something with air in it.
Yeah, it's a thought.
Got it.
That doesn't work yet.
Okay, so yeah, she's gonna make some changes, and she's gonna push them through before next week, probably
Cool.
this weekend.
Yep. So long as they're here, I can package them and update this pretty easily. And then I'll look. This is the dev server right now. I still need to. I could probably, if we wanted to like get it onto the main server in a hurry, I could sort of short circuit the work that I've been doing on the Grafana dev server.
No, no.
But
If it's okay that I give this out to people, then it's okay with me that it's on the dev server.
yeah, I think the only thing is we might not like if we give it to people and like they start to bookmark it, I don't know if I want to guarantee that like the dev link will always be there 100% of the time. Like sometimes the dev servers we bring them offline, they play with some new ideas and that sort of thing. So before like publication,
I'm okay with
if you.
Yeah, you're okay with that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Rob, what did you say?
No. That's I agree too. I think that's
Cool.
Reasonable.
Yeah, the main thing is just that people don't expect the dev sites to be
99.9
online. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because there are times when we're trying out like a new new OS build or whatever like that, and it's easier just to take it offline than to try to maintain perfect high availability. So
yeah. Yeah, I also want her to be able to incrementally, or like anybody that is interested in adding to this, to be able to incrementally make small little like changes.
Yeah, to that
anyway.
end, we'll probably go, like once Jolene's ready, we'll probably want to move this to the Git or to the Safecast org, because that'll mean that we can also like add new collaborators and stuff like that. Like right now,
I
it's
asked
all
her to do that already.
So, oh yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, but so
I don't know. She might like Sean would have to add her. Yeah, as far as I know, Sean is the only person with that toggle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's right, Rob. Rob?
No, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
and
Sean is the only one we can give right access to it.
So. Yeah, so I think Sean's going to have to add her to the GitHub org, or one of us will have to move it for her.
Okay. I might, yeah, but then if she has any updates, then she would want to be able to do those updates herself. So a combination of those two might be true.
Yep. Yeah, actually, that's a fair point. We're going to have to do both because otherwise she's going to be having to like, oh wait, I think no, I should be able to add. Yeah, she's not in the org. I should be able to add her as a collaborator. Let me just try to add her to like the reporting repo as a test. Like I can't add her to the org, but I'm.
How's it going, Andrew?
I'm good.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, cool. So I can add her directly to a repo. I can't add her to the org. But so what I could do is I could move it and then I could re-add her to the Safecast repo, and that way she'll still be able to push and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Before Sean is able to add her to the GitHub org.
So just for just to make like for another layer of security, do you mind doing it for her the first for a while until. Well, definitely the first time, but just so that there are like no mistakes and where things are going and that kind of thing. Yeah.
I'll give her a heads up.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
I'll cancel that one because I don't think she really needs to be on the reporting repo.
Reporting?
She could, but it was just a test. Cool. Cool. The other thing I wanted to ask about here is, and I haven't had a chance to like dig into it too carefully, is the new device from Jan. So Jan apparently has this new like CheckRAD device that he's working on, that he would like to be able to update. He would like to be able to upload his drives. And it looked like the only thing I had to do to like support them from a technical perspective was just like add the new, like it has its own like header code And so I just gave it its own header code. But Joe raised that like we might want to do something about like device number assignment, because he's publishing as like device 1000, but we already have like a BGAI 1000, and it could lead to some confusion there. So like, I don't know if we want to give him his own range or what.
Also, Rob mentioned we want to note if he had like what his recording, what his sensors are.
What the sensor is, yeah. So,
yeah. So where does that happen?
I don't know. Yeah. Like maybe Rob has some idea. I think we do have like a catalog of sensors, but I don't think the data is necessarily linked back to the sensor type.
Ooh.
I think if you can send a string like a JSON string instead of using the BGAI format, then we can do like we do for the normal other devices, for the Air device, any devices, any JSON string, we can have the tube defined in it. In the BGAI format, the log format, we don't have a tube definition.
Yeah, so, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So I would suggest him to try to get it in JSON.
The only thing is he's going to have to write his own uploader for that, or someone's going to have to write an uploader for him.
Or just modify it. It should not be so hard to modify it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think his device is continually reporting.
But I think the app from from Eduardo, Eduard, he sent JSON strings.
Yeah,
I remember that. So, but he takes the BGAI data in and convert it. In the app, there's a converter for that already, I think.
I see. So he has his own uploader app that he's using.
Yes.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. So maybe why don't I yeah, so like basically like to let me get the email up here, because maybe like the thing to do is to add Edward and you to the email thread.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, because like he basically sent me, I guess I probably shouldn't put this on the recording either, but he sent me this email that was like he didn't seem like he wanted to make it super public yet. So maybe I'll just add you and Edward to this thread, and that way you and Jan can talk it out about how you would recommend getting his points uploaded.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he seemed interested in just like mimicking the BGAI format, but I don't think like we have the upload, like you could potentially correlate it by the import ID, I think, right? So like the measurement references the import ID, and the import ID, yeah, the measurement imports.
Or if it has a certain header, it gets automatically a flag that it's a non-safeguard devices. And
yeah, the thing that I'm getting to though is I don't think we have anything super easy that would say like from the measurements table. Like, so if Nick is trying to like pull measurements, I don't think we have anything on this table that would easily say like, you know, this is not a BGAI or something like that. Like we have these like device type. I always forget how these are used, because I know Rob, you put them in, and I think like Nick didn't like them or something.
We had a discussion a long time ago about it.
Yeah.
Device type ID.
Because I don't know if they're even set reliably.
Oh, the device type ID are set on I think on the Pointcast.
Yeah. Because maybe that's a possibility, is to figure out how to set. Oh, but those, they get published directly, right?
Yeah, they get published directly.
Yeah. So I don't think we have a way to set those from like an upload file. So maybe, yeah, I'll add you and Edward to the thread, and maybe Edward can talk about how he does it for his devices, and Jan can do something similar.
Is there a standard for how these different sensors are recording the data? Because you don't want to then create, you know, a data set generated by sensors that would be kind of apples and oranges to another data set generated by another set of sensors, because there's not a standardization around it? Or is it standardized that like how things are recorded?
So yeah, go ahead, Rob.
I think it's not standardized at the moment.
Okay, it seems like in order to put it on the, like, I love the idea of other things, you know, data sets being accessible on Safecast platform, and I'm concerned that, you know, if you open up that wide, then you might get a mismatch of different kinds of sensors that have varying qualities, and that may not be the case for radiation. That is definitely the case for air quality, and then you don't want to have a whole bunch of like PM 2.5 being recorded and not understand that the device is a lot less reliable than the device that is the current standard or in use with the Safecast fleet. So I'm just curious about how to do that without creating a can of worms for later.
Well, we need to define what
should...
standardization means first, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there is a point where you always want to capture the data that comes out of the device, and then possibly
the raw data, right?
Adjusted data. So adjusted or normalized data.
Wait, what's your comment here? Because I'm not really getting it. Because I
what
thought,
exactly
like,
the
yes, that is
standardized-
exactly the issue.
Well, when you
That's
say
one of the issues.
standardized, that's, I mean,
Oh, standardized as in adjusted versus standardized as in raw.
right, like there's a standard format for the data as opposed to standard, there is an actual adjustment happening to the data that is being stored.
Fair.
There is all sorts of post-processing that goes on.
Yeah.
By people who have particular points of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But.
Yes, I agree, because we handle raw data. Like Safecast is a raw data platform.
So maybe we would like to have Ray's input on that too, because he has a specific point of view always about how we should record and deal with the data.
Yeah. So how do you think, like, should I just add people to this thread, or should we encourage Jan to like raise this on the Safecast devices group so that everyone can contribute? Like,
yeah, I think on the Safecast devices group is fine, because he gets feedback there and we keep it there.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask him if it's okay to sling it over to there, and we'll hash it out. Because yeah, the thing that I was just pulling some records here, and just like we have these like device type IDs and sensor IDs, but that doesn't apply to like the file uploading path, like as best I can tell. Like the file upload only sets the measurement import ID, which would mean we need something back on measurement import ID that tells us like what type of device this is. So right now it's sort of, I think we're running under the assumption that stuff that comes in through the uploader is a BGAIGI or something very close. And I don't see, I don't see how Nick could potentially filter the data based on just what's in the measurements table.
I like the idea of solving this problem though, because once we have a way to, like, once we make a certain set of decisions, then either it opens up a lot of people to be able to create their own devices and be able to upload it to the Safecast data set, or, it helps with what Andrew you're saying of like, how do you declare conformity? How do you declare standardization? So I think that there's, even though they're, like you say, there's standardized and there's adjusted, I'm using standardized to mean like standards around a device, or standard around how the device information is related, not adjusting.
Yeah, and we do have problems with that.
I'm just noticing here, there's not even really anything that would tell us much about whether or not it's a BGAIGI or not. So I think the whole file upload system is like really geared around the fact that like the thing that you're uploading is a BGAIGI or something ostensibly
something that was
close.
created and made through the Safecast fleet, or like
yeah.
part of this. So, and that becomes more of an issue with the air quality, because with air quality, like already, if you look at the way that it's displayed on the live site, it calls out the sensor and it says AlphaSense or Plantower, but Plantower 5003.
And the reason it can do that is because of that
device,
JSON structure that Rob talked about right at the head of the conversation. Yeah.
And
the file uploader doesn't have any support for that.
But at some point, the I think the new devices have the new Plantowers in them. They're the 7000 series, not the 5000 series. So if that's true, does that mean that you're going to have this long drop down? But then if it's not true, is it worth it to distinguish between the 5000 series data collected and the 7000 series data collected? Do you want to create a situation where now you're splicing up the data in so many different, like every time we upgrade one of the sensors, then you're recreating an entire data set and you can't like backcast the data set. So that's the thing that I'm saying. It would be interesting to figure out what our way of handling this will be.
Well, you always want to capture the hardware that was used to capture the data.
For sure. For sure. And how much of that is, how much of that do you want to distinguish in terms of saying, like, this is a data set created around this hardware, and then this other group of hardware, there's a whole other data set, rather than saying this is the entire air quality data set? You can rely that, or you can have some sort of faith that the PM2.5 is reliable across the data set.
That's a matter of transformation on the initial data that comes in and we record.
Say more? What does that mean?
Well, if you're getting in readings, look, our primary goal right now would just be to be able to accurately represent the readings that we get in from all of our sensors, right? Like, we're not doing even a terribly great job at that right now because of, different concepts like a drive versus a fixed sensor and such, and the fact that there's several different approaches to the database. So step number one is have a format that actually stores that table, that information. This data point was captured using, this device which contained this hardware. After that, it's a matter of determining how you want to represent it to the end user. Do you want to, for example, apply some sort of normalization to it? Like, if you know that the PM2.5 readings from device A are always, 30% higher than some sort of baseline, do you apply a transformation on that before presenting it to the end user? That kind of thing. But that's a separate issue from actually just being able to represent the data in a queryable, understandable fashion uniformly.
So how far, in those two thoughts, do we have thought one, we have that resolved, or that's not resolved because we're not capturing anything?
Well, as Matt was demonstrating here, like, we don't have a consistent model for identifying devices, let alone the hardware that's inside those devices in any particular time, especially since we're all kit builders. So, it's not like you can say, like, every BGAGI has X into it.
Yeah, each person's BGAGI might be a little bit unique. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, well, I'll drop it. I just wanted to, like, I'm thinking in terms of data and the air notes and the new air notes that might be coming, and trying to just think through those issues ahead of time as well for that.
Yeah, I have a hard stop in 2 minutes here, but I just wanted to kind of show the difference between like the data model for the file upload, which, as you can see, has like very little in the way of metadata, basically nothing, as compared to if we can get any new devices publishing JSON format like we do with the air notes or the Solarcast. It allows us to load up new fields if we want to on any given data payload. So, like, you can see on this this error note. I'd have to look up to be sure, but I suspect that this PMS model is an indication that you're dealing with a particular type of sensor. And we can support this here, but we can't really easily support that here. Like we would have to actually like stake out what all the fields are going to be ahead of time and work. We'd have to work out like a very well planned data model first before we could do any of that.
Did I mention I'm looking for a job?
So,
Andrew, as soon as I can.
so cool. All right, we need to wrap this up, or at least I need to wrap this up. I think when I hit end, it'll just drop everybody. So if you want to continue discussions in channel or a follow-up soon, that'll be up to you. But I need to jump to my next meeting in a heavily packed day.
Thanks very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Nice to see everybody.
Yep.
All right, talk to you all soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.